Can BYU continue their winning ways even as a 2.5-point underdog on the road? The biggest Group of 5 game of the year so far. Who will reign supreme, Boise State or UNLV? And finally, can Alabama actually cover a spread as a 17.5-point favorite against Missouri? We'll let you guys know in this Week 9 Best Bets video for college football. So far, a recap, we went 11-4 last week straight up against the money line, so we're 74-41. Spread, we didn't do as well. Basically at 50-50 for the year, but we're going to win some big money this week. I have a good feeling we're going to do some more in-depth stats, in-depth trends. I'm going to let you guys know exactly what you need to win some big money this week. Starting with the battle for the Paul Bunyan Trophy. News just broke that Michigan is actually starting Davis Warren for this game, so I could go over some of all these stats. I could go over any of these. Michigan State's winning this game. Michigan State, they're a 4.5-point underdog. They have a better quarterback. They have a better quarterback room, and as you can see there, in the last 16 games against Michigan, Michigan State is 12-3 against the spread, while Michigan is 1-6-1 at home against Michigan State in the spread. I mean, this is I don't know. I have absolutely no faith in Michigan. They've only covered one game this year against the spread, and it's only 4.5 points. Michigan State's covering the spread, and they're winning the game outright. Number 14, Duke against SMU. 11.5-point favorite SMU is. SMU is 7-0 in the last 7 games in October against the spread, while Duke is 4-1-1 the last 6 games against ACC teams. I think SMU wins this game outright, but I think Duke will cover the 11.5-point spread, even though they're 11-6 at home since the last 3 years. I'm going to take the Blue Devils to cover SMU to win outright, though, and we'll be 7-1. Number 13, Notre Dame against Navy. This game is actually pretty big for the CFP chase, both for Notre Dame getting in as an at-large and for Navy for the Group of 5 bid. I think Notre Dame's going to win this. They're a 2-touchdown favorite. The public is taking Navy 66% of the time, but the stats are just leaning towards Notre Dame. Only thing that's in Navy's favor is they're 8-2 against the spread when the spread's about 14 to 17 points, but I just don't see Notre Dame faltering against the Navy squad, man, and I don't see them being a close game. They're 8-3 on the road against the spread. They're 8-2 overall in the last 10 games. Navy's undefeated the last 5 games, but I'm going to take Notre Dame in this one to cover the 2-touchdown spread. BYU against UCF. I said this in the opener. BYU is actually a 2.5-point underdog on the road to 3-4 UCF. Vegas knows something. UCF almost upset Iowa State last week, and BYU almost lost to Oklahoma State last week, another team that's 3-4. But BYU is just so good this year. They're so good against the spread, and their last 6 games against the Big 12, they're 5-1, while UCF is 2-4 in the last 6 in October. I'm going to take the Cougs to cover the spread, win outright, and remain undefeated to go to 8-0 heading into Week 10. Ohio State versus Nebraska. I don't think this game is any question about who's going to win. Ohio State's a 25.5-point favorite. Ohio State's going to win the game. Only question was whether they're going to cover the spread or not. The analytics show that the Cornhuskers are a decent team. They're kind of average, but Ohio State's even better. They're 8-4 the last 12 games against conference teams, while Nebraska is only 2-6 in the last 8 games against the spread against Ohio State. I'm going to take them to cover the 25 points and to beat Nebraska outright, of course, as well. TCU hosting Texas Tech. TCU is a 6.5-point favorite, and I don't know why the public is taking Texas Tech 95% of the time. That's an absolutely insane swing, insane bias towards one team, but I'm going to agree with them. I'm going to take Texas Tech to cover the 6.5 and to win outright. TCU is 2-6 in the last 8 games, while Texas Tech, straight up, money line is 5-2 in the last 7 games against Big 12 teams. So I think they're going to win this one against TCU, who I don't think is that good of a team, and they're going to cover the 6.5-point spread as well. Virginia Tech hosting Georgia Tech, 2 teams that have been really good this season against the spread. Georgia Tech more so. I think both teams are really good. Virginia Tech could very easily be 5-1 right now if it were for a couple of plays, especially that Miami game. But I do think they will win this game, They're 4-1 in the last 5 games against the spread, while Georgia Tech is 8-0 in their last 8 games against Virginia Tech on the road against the spread. I think Georgia Tech will cover the 10.5 points simply based off of that fact, but I think VT ultimately wins the game outright, hosting in Lane Stadium. Number 8, Washington against Indiana. I think Indiana doesn't have their starting quarterback. I think Rourke is out for this game. If I'm wrong, correct me guys in the comments. But they're 5.5 point favorites going into this one as home. They're hosting game day, so it should be rocking. The public has taken them 87% of the time, which is crazy. I mean, they're one of the best teams this year against the spread. They're 6-1, and they beat the spread by average of almost 17 points each game. So I'm going to take Indiana to win and cover the 5.5 points. As you can see there at the bottom right, teams that are the Big Ten AC teams that travel more than 2 time zones, whether that's from the East Coast to the West or vice versa, West Coast to the East Coast, they are 10-15 overall this year. So, and while Indiana is 5-0 in the last 5 against the spread in the last 5 opponents in the Big Ten, Indiana is going to win and move to 8-0 on the season. Illinois going on the road to Oregon. Everybody is taking Illinois in this one. They're 21.5 point dogs. Oregon is a really good team. Oregon is one of the better teams covering, whether they're the favorite or at home. And the last 10 games in October, they've covered 7 out of those 10 games. They've only lost 2 of those. But Illinois on the road as an underdog, they're one of the best teams the last 2 years. Go down the stats here. 7-3 as an underdog since the start of 23. 9-3 as the road team since the start of 22, including winning the last 5 games on the road. I think Oregon will win this game, though. I would be shocked if Illinois pull the upset on the road here. But I do think they'll cover. 3 touchdowns is a lot, especially for a team that's that good on defense as Illinois. Oregon's that much better, but I think Illinois, the Illini, will cover this one. Colorado against Cincinnati. This is a very under-the-radar game that could have serious implications of the Big 12 race. Both teams only had one loss in conference, and this could very well be a deciding factor who could possibly get into the Big 12 championship game. Cincinnati, 5-2, nobody expected them to be even close. Colorado, they're performing much better than most of the experts thought, but the public is taking them 92% of the time as a 6.5 point favorite. I'm going to take them to win the game outright, but I'm going to take Cincinnati to cover the 6.5. Even though Colorado's been one of the best teams against the spread, they are 4-16 in their last 20 games in October straight up, while Cincinnati is 14-6 in the last 20 games overall. I think that alone is enough for Cincinnati to keep this game close and to cover the 6.5 point spread, but I do believe Colorado will win the game in the end. Boise State against UNLV, the biggest Group of 5 game up to this point in the season. Boise State's number 17. UNLV, I think they're like 27 or 28th in the AP poll. But either way, this game is going to be the deciding factor in who gets in the college football playoff. And I do believe no matter who wins this game, there's going to be a rematch in the Mountain West Championship game between these two. Obviously, whoever wins will have the home field advantage in said game. Neither team has a loss in conference, so this will be either team's first loss. Boise is a 4-point favorite. The country is taking them 3/4 of the time, 75%. Boise is has won their last 6 games as UNLV straight up. But UNLV is 7-2 as an underdog since the start of 23, and they're 7-4 their last 11 games against the Mountain West against the spread. I think they cover the 4 points, make this a field goal game, but I think Boise still gets the win in the end. Ole Miss hosting Oklahoma. This is not. I'm not going to get too much in depth with this. Oklahoma has not been doing good either straight up or against the spread this year, while Ole Miss has been doing great. They're 4-1 the last 5 games as a home favorite, while Oklahoma is 1-4 the last 5 games in October against the spread. 20 points is a lot, but I still think Ole Miss will cover this. Oklahoma is just not a good team right now. Ole Miss is going to kill them, I think, at least by 3 touchdowns. Penn State going on the road to Wisconsin. 6.5 point favorite Penn State is. The public has taken Penn State 78% of the time. This is a tough one because having a touchdown favorite on the road in a night game in one of the most hostile environments in the last 3 years, it was a very tough pick for them. But the fact that Penn State is 5-0 in their last 5 games against Wisconsin against the spread, it's enough for me to pick them at 6.5 points to cover, a touchdown favorite. I think they get it done. They might even add a assurance score in the end, make it 2 scores. But I think Penn State wins this and they cover the spread in the end. Alabama against Missouri. 17.5 point favorite Alabama is. They have been underperforming like a mug the last 3 games. Vanderbilt, South Carolina, and then they lost to Tennessee last week. This was very tough to pick Alabama because everything that's been happening, everybody's saying, oh, well, I don't know why this keeps growing. I think it started at 13.5 spread. Now it's up to 17.5. I think a lot of people are saying, well, Alabama's going to kill Missouri. Oh, Missouri lost by 40 points to Texas A&M. Yeah, well, I don't think Missouri's that bad of a team. Even going on the road to Alabama, who's been playing so bad lately, I'm going to take Missouri to cover the 17.5 points. I think Alabama's going to win. But Missouri, being 8-3 on the road the last 2 years, when they're 5-2 as an underdog since the start of last year, including 5-1 in the last 6 away games. Alabama, since 2021, is 1-3 against the spread. After a loss, I'm going to take Missouri to cover, Alabama to win outright. The biggest game of the year this week so far, serious CFP implications. 6-1 Texas A&M versus 6-1 LSU. The winner of this game is going to have an inside track possibly to get to the SEC championship game, and might even control their own destiny. They'd be an at-large bid at the CFP. This is a very high-stake game. Right now, A&M is a 1.5 point favorite, but the public is taking LSU 84% of the time. I'm going to agree with that trend, and I'm going to take them to win the game outright. They are the stat right here that sticks out to me the most. 5-1 against Texas A&M against the spread in their last 6, while Texas A&M against ranked opponents is 1-5-1 against the spread the last 7 games. That right there is enough to do me in. Plus, Texas A&M, when the spread is this close, 1 to 3 points, they're 2-10 against the spread. So I'm going to take LSU to win the game outright and obviously cover the 1.5 point spread and move to 7-1 and have an inside track to get the CFP at-large bid. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit the like button below, subscribe to the channel, and let's see how these games go. I think it's going to be a good week for us, and see you guys next week to see how we did for the best bets and the best games for Week 10 of college football.